Welcome to Age of Empires Mobile. My name is Lizard Jesus, and today's video is going to be a commander in-depth review all about Scipio africanus. For those of you who are not familiar with my in-depth review series, typically after a hero is released, if I'm able to get my hands on him and test him in the open field, I usually make a video reviewing his skills briefly, but mainly about what he does and who are the best pairings for that hero. The judgment that I make in these in-depth reviews are decided through synergy and field effectiveness, as well as a generalization of what lineup brings in the best numbers when it comes to fighting such as Apex Arena and the open field. So without further ado, let's jump into the video.
The flames of my vengeance shall incinerate this land of sin, ushering in its rebirth.
I'm going to come out right off the bat and say that Scipio africanus is a huge shift for the meta overall, as well as infantry mains in general, and the direction that infantry is going to head. I'm going to say off the bat that I think his best, I believe his best pairing is with Yodit, and the lineup specifically should be a Yodit, Scipio, and Lagertha. We're going to get to that in the video, and towards the middle, I will briefly explain, because this video is about Scipio, but I will briefly explain why Miyamoto with Mehmet and Tribuana is going to be the better second pairing if you have the same infantry commanders that I have, between 6 of them. So, first things first, before we get into the whole synergy of the pairing, let's just start off with the stars. First star, you're going to increase the damage reduction effect by 5% after your commander activates a signature active skill. Pretty good. Third star, while this state is active of African Conquest, a signature skill increases the damage of your commander's signature active skill by 25%. Very nice percentage value for a third star, and not just a percentage value, it's like you're going to be buffing Yodit's skill, which is already dealing a lot of damage. Okay. Fifth star, reduces the number of times required to trigger African Conquest state to 4. So what I can tell you off the rip is that he is a bare minimum 3 stars. However, he is good to use at 1 star. You can use him at 1 star. You want to at the very least take him to 3 stars, but you do not want to leave him at 3 stars forever. You absolutely want to take this guy to 5 stars at some point. But he is safe to start using at 3 stars and even 1 if you really know what you're doing. His talents that I have for him: Bulwark, Master's Verdict, Crushing Blow, Strength in Numbers, Intrepid Warrior, Military Tactics. The ring I have for him is Ring of Daisy, and the reason being is that he has a very supportive nature, a very team buffing role. So I like to have Ring of Daisy on him just to give him a little bit of punchiness. The mount I have for him is going to be increase the healing effect, so it's going to be a renewal. Renewal is going to tie into his signature active skill, where he does provide a healing factor, but he doesn't do a whole lot of healing everywhere else. So I want to enhance that healing along with Bloodthirst, which I think is going to be one of your go-to skills with him, because you want to bring DPS to the field almost always, and that extra unit recovery is just going to stack on top of African Conquest, and they're both going to be buffed by renewal. So that's the mounts I have for him. Speaking of African Conquest, signature active skill after your commander, which would be Yodit in the Yodit lineup, activates their signature active skill, reduces the damage taken by your troops by 30% for 3 seconds, which is very nice, because you're going to be throwing the skill out a lot, as you will discover later in the video. After triggering 5 times, your troop enters the conquest state, where during the state your commander's signature active skill can deal critical strikes, with a critical strike rate increased by 20% and an activation chance by 10%, and your troop immediately recovers units of 100% on might bonus. After taking skill damage, triggers up to 1 time every 3 seconds. So after taking skill, upon entering battle, immediately enters the conquest state for 6 seconds. So it's pretty powerful off the rip. So one-man army, this is a skill you have to have in any Scipio lineup anywhere, okay? I think the one skill for Scipio that we are going to completely ignore is actually King's Blade. King's Blade. King's Blade is more of a buff. It's a DPS buff. With this guy, you really want to go all out in the support role for the Bloodthirst. And if you're not going to run Bloodthirst, definitely go with Righteous Judgment. But one-man army increases the chance of the other heroes, which is going to be both your Yodit and Lagertha, increase the chance of their heroes activation, their signature activation skill by a percentage. Mine is at 11.29. This percentage is going to fluctuate depending on how much it's leveled up. So if we go to advance it, the where's the max skill effects? I don't even know if I can do that. Details, max rank effects. Yeah, it's 15%. Okay, it's 15%. So you're going to be going upwards of 15% once it's fully maxed out, which is freaking gangbuster. It's gangbuster to increase the activation chance by 15% of your commander's signature skill, but to do it to both heroes, holy smokes. And on that topic, we're going to talk about how he's so freaking amazing. And I'm going to discuss now why I think that his best pairing is going to be Yodi and Tribuana. Oh, by the way, if you guys are only interested in looking at the battle reports are going to be at the end of the video. So you can skip to the end if you just want to see the battle reports. Now, Yodi, we got to talk about Yodi a little bit, just a little bit, so you can get an understanding of how this works. So it deals 3 instances of damage to up to 3 enemy troops in a fan-shaped area. But when there are 4 stacks of deterrence, consumes these 4 stacks and changes to 5 instances of AoE damage, which is like 100, 200, 550% AoE damage, okay? So that means that when Yodi reaches 4 stacks, it doesn't take a lot to reach that with this build, believe it or not. She's actually dealing more damage than Miyamoto, which is why I think you gotta run this with Yodi. Now, Shadow of Terror, she gets stacks by triggering this skill, okay? Triggering this skill. So, Lagertha comes into play. Lagertha is going to be buffed by Scipio's one-man army, where Lagertha also has a higher chance to throw off Valkyrie's Edge. But Lagertha has a chance to double cast Valkyrie Edge as well as apply Judgment, where she's going to increase the chance to activate the skill an additional time, as well as your commander when activating the signature active skill. So the synergy here is gangbuster. Scipio is going to increase the chance of Yodi's signature active skill, increase the chance of Lagertha's active skill. Lagertha is going to throw out her skill, apply Judgment to Yodi, and then Yodi is just going to be getting lots of stacks of deterrence. Not to mention, she has Executor, where she's going to be increasing the signature active skill chance even more. Basically, what I'm saying is that when you have Scipio in your lineup with Yodi and Lagertha, almost every single turn, and I say this confidently because I just got out of a Mightiest Empire as well as a Golden Expedition, as well as lots of Apex Arena testing. Yodit is almost every single turn, reaching 4 stacks. The only times that she's not reaching her 4 stacks is if you're super unlucky and it's like your very first engagement where you jump into battle with Initial Rage. After your first turn, you're going to be reaching your 4 stacks, believe me. So you're going to be throwing out a 500% AoE all the time. It's gangbuster. There's so much synergy here, it's amazing. So, I'm talking a bit fast. Just a quick recap is that Scipio is going to increase the chance of the signature active skill for Yodi and Lagertha. Lagertha is going to pump out her Judgment, which increases Yodi's chance to cast again. Along with Executor, you're going to be getting so many stacks of deterrence that she just deals an insane amount of damage. Okay? And this reason alone is why it's better with Yodi instead of Miyamoto. Okay? You know, it's good with Miyamoto, but this is the build I love for Miyamoto. When I ran Scipio with Miyamoto, and I had Tribuana with a Lagertha, you know, it was good and it was great and all that stuff, but the numbers were just better with Yodit, Not to mention that the way Miyamoto's signature skill works, I think it's almost better to have him with that Mehmed,
İmkanın
and
sınırını
then when you run the
görmek
Miyamoto
için
Mehmed Lagertha,
imkansız.
you have a DPS build. So that way
İmkanın
the might
sınırını
lands on
görmek
Mehmed,
için
you have a constant
imkansızı denemek
tankiness
lazım.
and damage output amplification. Now, why am I talking about Miyamoto, Mehmed, and Tribuana when this is a Scipio Africanus in-depth review? And that's because this is how much of a big shift Scipio brings to the infantry mains, where we now can do a free-to-play, can have a Yodi Scipio Lagertha standalone. It's amazing. But if you're a low spender, you can grab your Miyamoto, you have Mehmed and Tribuana, and we can now have two fully field-ready, combat-effective infantry marches, which is a big shift. Big shift. To be bringing out two warrior swordsman lineups that are both infantry and be super effective is gangbuster. Super gangbuster. You're gonna want to run Japanese samurai for the Yodite lineup just because you want to have that activation chance increase. And I do recommend Persian Immortal when you have Tribuana with Mehmed and you have a DPS build around Tribuana, just because it's nice to bring all damage increase, and you may as well take advantage of having two mercenaries. Anyways, so that is an overall summary of it, my review on Scipio Africanus. That is why I think he is a huge shift for the infantry meta. Um, let's jump over now to the battle reports, the juicy stuff. So the reports that I have are both open field as well as some Apex Arena. This is a victory report, and I want to point something out, is that I'm tier 6. The guy I'm fighting here, he's T7. He's got Lubus, he's got Suleiman, he's got a Cyrus lineup, a Mulan lineup. These are all really good heroes. Something had to have been up with him, but look, we're going to go over all the reports. Look at the numbers that the Yodite is pulling, and look at the numbers that Miyamoto is pulling. It's almost double. The numbers are almost doubled, okay? Now, I think the reason why it's doubled is because there's so much signature active skill increase chances that Yodi is just constantly firing off her 4 stacks of deterrence AoE. It's nuts. This was the this is a different report. This is actually a T7 swordsman lineup versus my T6 swordsman lineup. It's pretty good. This is Apex Arena, so keep that in mind. But we're just getting, with Apex Arena, we're just getting an idea of what pairings pull more numbers together. This is, yeah, so that's basically what Apex Arena is good for. This was an open field battle report, and it was a T7 Korean Archer, okay? T7 Korean Archer. They did have a Josephine, but it was 5-star. I don't know. It's good. The Yodi, Scipio, and Lagertha is just a good lineup, and I recommend people run that when they get it, or whatever the hell they want. But I think that the best free-to-play swordsman lineup is absolutely Yodi, Scipio, and Lagertha. I lost this fight fairly bad too. I had a huge advantage, but it's a T7 pikeman march against swordsman. Okay? They started off with 63.1k units, and at the very end of the fight, T6 versus T7, they had 9.4k units remaining. This right here was their this was their pikeman lineup. Fully maxed out skills, all 5-star heroes, red gems, all their equipment and gears level 80, 80, 80, 2 legendary rings, a purple ring, and I had them at 9.4k units remaining at the end. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. This is another Apex Arena report where I actually lost. I had lost this report. They're T7, lots of T7, and you can see that I am pulling more damage than Miyamoto. Okay, and only because you're able to get to those stacks of deterrence using Scipio Africanus and the build that I recommended, where you have Executor, Scipio, and Lagertha. Anyways, yeah, so that is my summary of a quick. Actually, I'll give you a quick summary of the in-depth review for Scipio, and that is the best build for him. I think for free to play is going to be a Yodi Scipi Lagertha. Really good synergy. You're gonna always be reaching your 4 stacks of deterrence. That concludes the video. Scipio africanus. He's a must-have. I think all players should want to get him. Yeah, and my name is Lizard Jesus. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.